Good evening. I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order, our August 9th Board of Education meeting. Mr. Clarsey, our chair, is en route, and so he asked us to go ahead and get started. So at this time, we need to have an approval of our minutes from our last two meetings. Hope everybody's had a chance to look over those. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Okay. Okay, all right, and a second? All right, all in favor? Aye, all right, very good. All right, and the approval of the agenda. Dr. Howard, do we need to?
There are no changes, so we should be good to go.
Okay, all right, hearing no changes of our agenda for tonight, do I have a motion that we accept? Okay, and a second? All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, and the motion carried. All right, we're going to turn it over to you, Dr. Howard, for superintendent's comments.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Welcome. We're glad to see you this evening, and we are delighted to be able to get back to some of the work that we were doing pre-COVID time, and one of the things that we were doing was continuing to celebrate the work that's happening at our schools. And so each month we select a school that we highlight, and tonight we get the privilege of asking South Jackson, and I'm going to ask if Miss Brookshire would come and bring a young man who's going to lead us in the pledge, and then I'll turn it over to Miss Brookshire for us to have our South Jackson highlight.
Good evening. We chose Cannon Cantrell to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, and he is the student from South Jackson that we're highlighting this month for the mindset, everything is possible.
Will you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, including the which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe his parents are here with him, and so I know you're very proud. Thank you. You did an outstanding job. You look very handsome, and we are proud of you. Thank you. All right, Miss Brookshire, let's hear about the highlights of wonderful things happening at South Jackson Elementary School.
All right. Well, it's always busy at schools during the year, but tonight we want to highlight some of the things we had going on at South Jackson over the summer. Our students continued to learn and have fun throughout the summer, and Miss Lunsford and Miss Williams are going to highlight Kinder Camp, and Miss Atha is going to highlight our Summer Blast program.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Jessica Lunsford, and this is Miss Williams. We are two of the kindergarten teachers at South Jackson Elementary, and this summer our team hosted the first Kinder Camp ever at South Jackson. We created 3 days of activities that included reading and math segments, which all centered around our common theme of camping, which we enjoyed as well as our students. These 3 days also allowed us to get students excited about coming to school, some of them for the very first time. It allowed teachers and students to get to know each other on a more personal level and a more casual environment, and for students to get a glimpse of what the day in kindergarten looks like during the school year. We introduced and practiced various procedures, including walking in line, appropriate lunchroom behavior, and so much more. As we have begun the school year, we have seen the students who attended Kinder Camp step up to be classroom leaders because they are already had a few days of kindergarten under their belts. They walked into our classes confidently and tackled many routines and procedures with confidence because they already knew how to kinder. We look forward to hosting our next Kinder Camp in July of 2022.
These are some more pictures of our Kinder Camp.
Hi, so I am Haley Atha, and I was given the opportunity to be one of the directors for our Summer Blast. It was our summer school type program, As you can see, we like a theme at South Jackson. So for our summer program, we decided to go with the Blast Off theme with a science space extravaganza. We were able to offer really individualized instruction to a very small group of kids. We had about 50 kids that were able to come. We divided them up into groups that averaged around 7 students, with 1 full-time teacher and 1 support person able to help these children throughout their day. They were given an hour to focus on reading, 30 minutes to focus on phonics and word study, 45 minutes to focus on math, in which they did CGI models, number talks, and were able to incorporate something new to our school, the Georgia Numeracy Project games. And then we also included some creative fun time, including a fine arts space class where they got to read a play about space, a recess class, a gym/exercise class, and then a science class where they learned about how to use gravity to escape the Earth's atmosphere and how a robot would move around a planet to explore a planet far away from us. One of the great benefits to our teachers that went to Summer Blast is they were able to start using the view boards that hadn't really been involved in the school, and so now all of those teachers were trained on the view boards ahead of time and were able to use them in their classes with the students. And now that we're back in school, they're using the view boards to help other teachers get ready for them and, incorporate them into their teaching. Those are some of our math games. There's the view board. Those are some of the science games. Those screaming balloons about gravity were quite loud, but very fun. The kids loved the experience. The teachers loved the experience, being able to see such a small group of kids and really focus on 1, 2, or 3 kids at a time was wonderful. And we look forward to having Summer Blast again next summer.
Thank you to the board for giving us this opportunity to serve our students through the summer. Every day is a great day at SJ, even in the summer.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Brookshire, and a special shout out to those teachers who spent their summer extending learning for our students. That's really, really special and important. For our general public to understand, you may or may not know that the federal government extended CARES funding for support during COVID, and this is one of the very, very important aspects of what we chose to use our CARES funding for, and that was to recover some learning loss for students who may have experienced that during the difficult year that we had last year. So thank you for taking those funds and making good use of those, and I think you will hear more about these as we share with our other schools throughout the year. So outstanding. I'm going to ask Mr. Todd Nicholson. About 2 years ago, we launched this effort, and last year we really, really became pretty solid with it, and it's probably more important now than ever. But talk to us a little bit about the 7 mindsets and our mindset matters.
Absolutely. So if you were paying attention before the board meeting, we were recognizing 1 adult and 1 student per school. And we're very grateful for our school leaders to identify these students. And this year, students and staff, this year we're going very thematically throughout the school year. And so the mindset of August is that everything is possible. And in the 7 mindset, everything is possible, it has 4 basic beliefs: dream big, embrace creativity, think positive, act, and adjust. And so if you'll stop right there, Dr. Howard, there are a couple folks that we're going to pause. All of them will be recognized on social media. But if you look at Isaac and you think about positive attitude, that picture pretty much encapsulates positivity. And I think there's probably some creativity in there as well. And so Isaac was our student recognition from Empower. And we also just wanted to call attention to the fact that Empower is up and launched, and they're doing an amazing job. So then if you'll continue, the next person, Dr. Howard, we're going to recognize is actually Ms. Cervantes at East Middle. So when you think of FFA, it's a really, really strong, powerful program here. We build leaders Some folks don't really know exactly what FFA does, but if you meet a child who's been in FFA, you can just tell. They've got a certain level of confidence, communication, and so it's definitely worth pointing out that their team will be headed to the Nationals. And so we think about everything is possible. She's done an amazing job, and so wanted to recognize her as well as her students. And then actually, I believe the next one is the student, Dixie, because Dixie already has her dreams of becoming a doctor and is determined to make that goal a reality. And so when we talk about everything is possible and we want kids to dream big, we really want them to start now to get a sense of what do I want to do and what do I not want to do, and give them those opportunities all the time so that they get to know themselves, their strengths, and so that while we have them, we can give them the opportunities, whether it's at the base high school or it's an Empower or anywhere else, extracurricular activity. And then West Middle is going to be our next highlight, Mr. Brad Hillman. So Dr. Howard, if you don't mind forwarding through to, there he is. So this is pretty cool. We get a video this summer, and Mr. Hillman, I believe, was in Africa, and he was making an Everything is Possible video for his students, and was talking about the work that he was doing down in Africa, and wanted to make sure that his kids didn't think that we're just talking about this stuff and there's no really meaning or substance to it. So very cool that he was sending that out to his students, and that messaging is truly a part of the way he lives and is sincere about it. And then, if you don't mind scrolling through, our next one, Dr. Howard, is going to be Reagan Jones at West Jackson Elementary. All these folks are fantastic, and if I could talk about all of them, we'd be here all evening. But like I said, they'll all be recognized on social media this evening. But there's Reagan, and so dreaming to just living up to her dreams, always having a positive attitude, a smile, being a role model for her school. And so we wanted to call attention to Reagan and just to congratulate her for holding on fast to those dreams. And it's never too early to dream big. And our last one, Dr. Howard, that we're going to recognize this evening is actually Mia, and she is at Jackson Connect. And that's also just so that you know, we've talked a little bit about Jackson Connect. It's up and running. We have students that are actively engaged in interdisciplinary, mostly distance learning, but there's some in-person element as well. And so they're really taking on a new challenge. We've never done anything quite like this in Jackson County, and so the kids that are doing are pioneers. And so Mia tackles every challenge with a positive attitude, and I just wanted to recognize her. And then if you don't mind, the very last slide, Dr. Howard, we do have some sponsors. Jackson EMC, Wayne Farms, Chick-fil-A in Brazelton, Wilco Printing and Signs. So if you're watching and you're thinking, wow, I really like this stuff, I would really like to be able to contribute, we definitely would welcome some private partners. This allows us to give things like gift cards to the kids, recognitions. Wilco printed up a bunch of T-shirts, made this sign behind us, and so we are always looking for partners in the work, and the greatest partners we have are our teachers and our students. And so every month we just want to be able to highlight a few folks that exude that particular mindset. So thank you.
Thank you to our teachers and to Mr. Nicholson, and a special shout out to Maysville Elementary School, who brought this to our school district about 5 or 6 years ago. And so they've kind of been the pioneers and pace setters, but it continues to flourish and to build the confidence and the competence of our students with their emotional and social and emotional learning. So great opportunity there for our students. Those are all the comments that I have for our board. I just want to say that we continue to have a great year, a great start to the year, and we look forward to great things going forward. So the next item on our agenda is public comment, and so I'll turn it over to Mr. Clarsey. Mr. Clarsey, either you can or I'm happy to share our guidelines of public comment, what our requirements are based on board policy. And then we'll begin. We had one person call ahead, Ms. Lindsay Campbell, and our policy is clear, and I will read these, but we're also limited to 30 minutes total based on our board policy. So I'm going to ask, once we start, if I could ask Ms. Dodge or Ms. Todd to time us so that we know when we're at 30 minutes. And so would you like to review these, or would you like for me to? Okay, I'm going to read the procedures. These are published, and this is based on board policy. Any person concerned with administrative question or issue should exhaust all administrative channels before presenting it to the superintendent or the board. This may include meetings with teachers, assistant principals, and central office staff. A copy of the board's policy is available, which I have right here. In addressing the board, the speaker should use the lectern and microphone and should give his or her name, address, and the group, if any, that he or she is representing. He or she should speak to the board, not to the audience. The presentation should be as brief as possible, yet include all pertinent information. Unless an extension is granted, each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Multiple speakers from a group or organization must appoint a single spokesperson to address the board. Others speaking on the same subject will be limited to 1 minute each. Questions, suggestions, proposals, or criticism which are presented verbally should also be submitted in writing prior to the meeting or at the meeting prior to speaking, signed by the individual or spokesperson of the group appearing before the board. Speakers should be reminded as a point of information that members of the board have no authority to act as individuals in official matters. Personnel issues involving individual employees, issues involving individual students, and any pending litigation are not subjects for public comment. No profane or vulgar language or personal abuse against any person by any speaker will be permitted. The board may not respond to comments or questions by citizens in their presentations, but may, at their discretion, direct the superintendent to respond on behalf of the board after all comments, questions, and presentations have been taken under advisement within 5 working days. Any member of the Board of Education shall be free to respond and make public comments at any meeting of the board if he or she elects to do so. Public comment portion of the board will be limited to 30 minutes. Citizens wishing to address the board will be called in the order received by the superintendent's office. The board, at their discretion, may call a special meeting to hear additional comments if needed. So that's the policy and the procedures that the board have approved. So I will turn it over to you.
All right, we have Miss Lindsay Campbell has made contact with the office and would like to speak this evening. Is she here? Do you know who she is?
I do not. She's a Jackson County High School student who called ahead and was going to speak, but did not. I think, did Natalie Garman make it? Okay, Natalie, come on up here.
Did she call? Oh, okay.
Can I take this off? Hi, my name's Natalie Garman. I'm a senior at Jackson County High School, and I have a little something to share tonight about my experience with COVID and kind of how it's affected myself and other students. So we've always been the land of the free because of the brave. One nation under God, the United States of America, where freedom rings. Yes, a community where one or more gathered, there will be flaws, but America is where one would live to dream. America is a place where you have the right to freedom of speech and express who you are. As Americans, we are kind of losing that. I have been put in the corner by teachers because I didn't comply to their personal beliefs. Instead of being taught that I am allowed to have a mature conversation, I was continued to put in the corner. Freedom of speech and respect was not taught in my classes. I had to learn to not talk. Whatever I say would not be acceptable. I was filled with joy leaving the classroom, unfortunately, for the last time, and I wouldn't have to go in there again, which was super sad. Now I'm expected to walk across the stage in less than 9 months, ready to enter the world that is scary. A world where some may advance in education, some may work, and some may not continue on with a career. The real question is, are we prepared? No, we're not. Every class that walks across the stage and receives their diploma are never completely ready, but the class of 2020, we are missing something. We are missing months of memories, time spent laughing and crying with one another, the moments shared in extracurricular activities, these moments that were able to thank the ones that led us before. We have a missing piece. I will not be able to tell my kids story after story about all the fun adventures and class stories my sophomore, junior, and senior year. Instead, I'll have to explain to them that I was put in a corner for expressing my opinion, masked, and could not show a smile to someone that may have needed to see it. I cannot tell them the fun memories I made because I didn't look forward to school. I didn't look forward to the harassment. I cannot look at generations and tell them that I learned in high school that I have the freedom of speech and choice. Instead, I'll have to explain to them everything I was so easily ripped away from. There's only so much a school board can do. I totally understand that. I understand that many people have opinions, but I also, well, I want you to understand we had faith it would be over in 2 weeks and have a long spring break. We thought we would get back to school in May and goodbye and wrap up and say goodbyes and wrapped up a chapter of our life. Then we watched the class of 2020 get their moment ripped away from them. My own sister crying because she couldn't say goodbye and end her book after 13 years of her life. We started the 2020-21 school year with caution, knowing that one day could be our last together. The class of 2021 has their last years ripped away from them and never could get hopes up, not knowing if they'd actually receive the days and joys they deserve, if they would have prom, graduation, and every little detail. The class of 2022 is the year we thought we would get back to normal and have the best years of our life. But at this rate it's going to be taken from us, and we are not prepared for that. Clearly something's not working. The mask did not save us, and scientifically a cloth mask doesn't protect us completely from a virus. The vaccination not everyone can or wants to get, again, the freedom of choice in America. Ripping people from classes after someone has waited for their positive test to come back just doesn't add up. I know this is a real scary virus, but something's not adding up, and I just want to continue to open our eyes as a community. I know there's only so much a small town in Georgia can do, but change happens one person at a time and one town at a time. We need a change in Jackson County. We need to be one again. Growing up in Jackson County, I know when we come together, we are stronger. As a senior, I'm not ready to be sent off into the world. I'm missing something, a part of my life, and the best years are gone. And I can only pray for our early elementary school students who are not receiving the same education and lifestyle as everyone else. I pray that they will remember what a normal world is and where they have the freedom to choose and how they want to handle their health. I pray that freedom of speech is something they learn. I pray for our community and safety. I pray that America stays a land of the free. Once again, we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So let's start here in Jackson County and make sure we're not losing the meaning of America. And thank you.
Do we have anyone else that'd like to address the board? Well, is there anyone else that would like to address the board? If you would come forward, if you would, state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Esteemed board members, my name is Charles Smalley. My address is 36 Michigan Circle in Houston. I'm a resident of the new Twin Lakes community. I've been a resident of this community for 21 years. I'm a father of 6 children. I have matriculated, I'm matriculating, still in the process of matriculating my children through our Humboldt school system, okay? I've also had the pleasure and honor of serving as the Associated Press stringer for our county, for both the county, state, and our national elections for the last 5 years. So I see public service as paramount in our community service, as well as the right thing to do with espousing our constitutional beliefs and principles. With that being said, I just offer a clarifying question for our Jackson County parents who are sitting behind me, just a clarifying question for the board, anyone can answer. With respect to, in the future, this meeting and subsequent meetings, when it comes to the agenda, your vote, as we being your constituency and you representing us, how do you vote? Do you vote on line item by line item on the agenda, or do you have a silent vote? Is it Robert's rules? I ask this strictly as a clarifying question for this meeting and any subsequent meetings for those who would be in attendance for this board meeting. And I leave it back to you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and address the board at this time? I guess hearing none, we'll close this section of our meeting. Oh, yes, ma'am. I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry. Please come forward. Sorry about that. I didn't see you. If you wouldn't mind, just
to put my hand up.
state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kimberly Masters. I live at 1226 Lincoln Lane. in Liberty Crossings Division. We've lived in Jackson County for 4 years and have loved our experience with the elementary school. We're at West Jackson Elementary for our 8-year-old daughter. That is, of course, until Wednesday. And myself, like many of the women in my neighborhood and the community, I have had to make a very difficult, emotional, and financial decision. We do not agree with many of the things that have happened during the COVID protocols and mandates, and we know that this year, like the past few, we are very likely to see closures, mandatory masking, bullying over masking, and I made the decision to put my daughter into private school. Many parents, they fight with this decision. It's economically very difficult. You don't want to move your children. But I'm here to tell you that I am not the only one. There's many of us faced with this. Some will choose homeschool, some will choose charter school, but you will see it, and you will see it more often if we continue to feel that the parents' voices are not being heard. We do not need to mask healthy individuals. It is a form of abuse, and it needs to stop here and now. And I'm tired of hearing the fear-mongering and the Delta variant and the Lambda variant and the Epsilon variant. They've got 30 variants on a piece of paper, okay? They've passed this around for years. You can look this up, okay? They don't test for the Delta variant. It is assumed to be the variant, but you can call any lab right now. They are using fear to push an agenda to isolate, and they're hurting our children. And I need for all of you to do some research outside of CNN and ABC and CBS and look at the real data and the information that is coming out at meetings just like this so that you yourselves have the tools. You don't have to take it from me, okay? I'm just telling you that the information is there, that you will see what a horrible mistake we have all made. The guilt I feel for sending my child to school with her face covered for 8 hours a day is horrible, but we have a chance to fix it. Please educate yourself before you judge the people that are coming up here to express their concerns to you. In our case, unfortunately, we won't be in Jackson County schools. Our tax dollars for now will be. I hope Georgia does what Florida did, and if you move your schools, your money goes with them, but we'll see what happens. But before there has to be more moms like us that make that choice, please, please look at the actual data of what is going on, what this propaganda has done to our children, so mothers and fathers don't have to pull their kids from Jackson County. Thank you.
We have one more that would like to address the board.
There might even be more than me.
Okay. Okay. If you don't mind, state your name and address for the record, please.
Natisha
Thank you.
Kidwell, 113 Raven Ridge. You're going to be seeing this a lot more, so, I mean, that's not a threat. I take full responsibility for falling asleep at the wheel of what's going on and entrusting my children that things are just going to go smoothly at public school the way it did for me when I grew up. Times are changing, and they're changing fast. So I really appreciate you guys accommodating us. And kind of to piggyback on what Charles said, I addressed the board Thursday. I plan on being here every month, so anyway, again, I appreciate you accommodating us. I addressed the board about quarantining and masking and piggybacking on what the mother that spoke, who's now pulling her child out of Jackson County. We're talking about doing the same thing, actually, but I'll still fight for our kids because I've got a lot of family and a lot of friends who have kids here in Jackson County. Homeschooling is looking better and better these days, I'll be honest with you, to a lot of us, for many reasons, including that right behind your head. But you'll be hearing more about that. But clarifying question, what was the decision about quarantining and contact tracing and everything that was discussed last week? I mean, I haven't got any feedback on that. And how, as we're becoming and learning and becoming more involved in the processes here at the local level, when someone addresses the board or voices a concern, what is your feedback process? And I understand that I didn't email you about this statement tonight, so you don't even know my email, but I'd be happy to provide that to you. But I did address the board last week. So I just would like to ask that clarifying question when you answer about the Roberts rules and all of that other stuff. So we kind of know where the feedback is going to come from and what to look for. Thank you.
Thank you. Come forward. If you wouldn't mind, state your name and address for the record too, please, sir. Thank you.
My name is Michael Rhodes. I live at 1162 Warbler Drive. I got 2 daughters who go to Gum Springs Elementary School. This isn't going to take long. I've been doing a lot of research, as I'm sure you guys have too. We take most of our guidance from Center of Disease Control. Here, everywhere where I work, I'm a paramedic. That's where we take most of our guidance. Per their numbers, for children ages 3 to 18, we're looking at, for 8,600 students in Jackson County, if we did absolutely nothing, 0.68 of those students would become hospitalized. That's less than 1 student. 0.22 of our students would go to the ICU. That's a lot. I mean, that sucks if you're that parent. I mean, don't get me wrong. You don't want to be on the wrong side of those statistics. But think about the risk-benefit of this. The risk of this is extremely low. And this is per the CDC. What is the risk of the mental and psychological impact of these children? We don't even have stats on it yet. It was already bad before this started. It is going to be terrible after this. And that's for healthy children without disabilities, children who have, who could be on the spectrum, things like that. I mean, it's completely detrimental. Your job, in my opinion, is to send out the facts and let the parents make the decision whether we go to school or not. We have a digital option, is that still correct? Where the kids can go to school digitally? Is that? No? Okay. Well.
We have Jackson Connect.
Yeah, okay.
Option, but then we're also working to build out a virtual.
Okay. And that's what I'm talking about. If your kids are at high risk or they live with someone that's extremely high risk, they have the option to say, hey, this isn't safe for my situation. I'm going to keep my kids home and learn this way until this thing blows over. It's not your job to keep our kids safe. It's our job. Go by the facts, folks. Go by the facts. That's all that I'm asking, okay? God bless you guys. I don't envy your job or your decisions that you guys have to make, but please just be fact-based. We don't need to go by popularity. I didn't move to Jackson County because it was popular. I moved here because it's a great education. That's the #1 thing. Let's not compare ourselves to Clark County, okay? Compare ourselves to Oconee, Jefferson, Beaufort, okay? Please do that for us. That's our expectation of you. God bless. Have a good day.
Thank you. Anyone else like to? Please go ahead. Please come forward, ma'am. If you don't mind, ma'am, if you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Linda White. My address is 7805 Pendergrass Road, Houston. I prepared this, but I can't see, so bear with me. And I cut a lot of the meat out of it to try to keep within the time limit. As I said, my name is Linda White, and I appreciate you allowing me to speak. I've lived in Jackson County all my life, went grades 1 through 12 here, even taught school here. Currently, I have 2 great nieces and 2 great nephews making their way through this system, and I care that they and every other student have the best education possible and are treated equally with respect and dignity. And I think for that last part, in the school at West with parents being closed out and the community being closed out, you know, it's hard now for us to know what's going on in the school. Although everything seems to be political these days, please don't hear me in that light. Critical race theory and COVID issues seem to reach across the aisle. I've been told critical race theory is not being taught in Jackson County schools. If not, I applaud you. If it is, shame on you. CRT is a Marxist ideology that has permeated the fabric of America. It has no place in Jackson County schools or anywhere else. It seeks to divide rather than unify. Our colleges and universities have been infiltrated with socialist, Marxist, and communist professors. Their students, some now teachers, may be even unknowingly regurgitating into the young minds of pre-K, elementary, and high school students that with which they have been indoctrinated. And I pray that is not happening here. As for COVID, or more specifically mask, I understand there is no mask mandate right now. A lot of doctors say masks do more harm than good. Watch someone wearing a mask. It doesn't take long to catch them touching the mask, tugging at it, or whatever, transferring germs to and from the mask throughout the day. Students place masks in pockets and backpacks, lay them on desks, drop them on the floor, and put them back on their faces, right along with all the bacteria. Worse, the mask can deplete oxygen in the brain and tissues. A letter I read recently on OSHA's website states, in part, human beings must breathe oxygen to survive and begin to suffer adverse health effects when the oxygen level of their breathing air drops below 19.5% oxygen. Below 19.5% oxygen, air is considered oxygen deficient. At concentrations of 16 to 19.5%, workers engaged in any form of exertion can rapidly become symptomatic as their tissues fail to obtain the oxygen necessary to function properly. Increased breathing rates, accelerated heartbeat, and impaired thinking or coordination occur more quickly in an oxygen-deficient environment. It went on to explain how even a momentary impairment or lower levels of oxygen can be dangerous even in people at rest. My own experience with masks is that I become oxygen deficient and have a hard time breathing and begin coughing. And I've been in stores and tried to keep the mask on.
Ms.
And
White,
I get
you're-
where I can't breathe. I have to pull it down, but,
Ma'am.
you know, I have to put it back up and then, I'm sorry.
You've gone over your time. If you
Okay,
wouldn't mind,
I don't have much. Can I finish,
you-
please?
if you would hurry, yes.
I won't
you-
add
okay,
anything extra.
okay.
Okay. I rarely wear a mask now and still have that cough several times a day and at night. It doesn't seem to be temporary. It's likely something I will just have to live with permanently. How many times have students been required to wear a mask while running, playing, climbing, or just resting? They are human beings too. How much permanent, maybe yet unseen, damage has resulted from mask wearing? Last year, my oldest great-niece came home from school, often complaining of a headache. Please do not mandate masks, especially since right on the box it states they do not eliminate risk of contacting any disease or infection. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that like to address the board? Do I see a hand in the back? Please come forward. If you don't mind, please state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Lindsay Campbell, the name, and I'm 712 Stoneview Drive in Houston. We've heard a lot from parents. Oh gosh. Okay. We've heard a lot from the parents and like hearing the parents' voice, but I think it's important to hear the students' voice as well. I'm a senior at Jackson County, so I was kind of in the middle of high school when everything started. I had half of my sophomore year taken away, and I've always been a 4.0 GPA student. I was in chess club in elementary school. Who does that? And so as someone that has been very eager to learn about everything, I have not learned anything in the past year, 2 years that this has been going on because of lack of interaction with people. I haven't had social interaction. I haven't had the teachers being able to physically teach me and show me things. I'm a visual learner. I can't learn things through a computer screen. It's very difficult, very hard. And I've had like my parents tell me, oh, you have it so easy. You have the computer in front of you and that's it. I'm not learning anything. I look up what the capital of Georgia is and I live here. Like things are just going away and we're the future of everything. Like we are the future. I graduate this year. I have to go on to a big job and you know, we are it and we're having our education taken away from us, and I am just saying to hear more about the students' voices and how they feel about it rather than how you personally feel about it and how it's affecting you. Of course, teachers are going to be like, oh, you know, if it's safe for the children, then okay. But many teachers have taken it as a break to just teach from home. Their kids are with them. They're fine with it. And, you know, I think the students need to be more heard about it because it's been very difficult. These past 2 years have been the hardest 2 years, and it makes me emotional because I'm watching my sister not be able to grow up and play with her friends or be trapped inside literally all day. And school coming back this past 2 weeks has been the best thing that could have happened to me. I'm sorry. So that was all. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for one more. Except you, Mr. Riley. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Wade Riley, 645 River Chase here in Houston County. Yeah, I just want to say amen to what everybody's saying out here. Just one stat. I mean, this is an official stat too. Of all the 0 to 18-year-old kids out there that have less than 400 of a 75 million person pool have died from these illnesses, which is almost 0%. One thing I do want to add, my wife is a third grade teacher and she wants to be in school and she wants to teach. And she doesn't want to wear a mask either. So she's all for this, staying in school and teaching. So, amen.
Thank you. Any others? Seeing none, we'll continue on with our agenda. The next item is our consent agenda items. Everyone had an opportunity to review that. Any questions? Hear none, do I have a motion on the consent agenda? So I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as printed? It's unanimous. It is our last item of the night, and we stand adjourned. We would like to thank everyone for their attendance tonight. Thank you.